Vlad TV just came out swinging hard at Aries Spears. He essentially declared war, called out what he described as disgusting behavior, and made it absolutely clear that Aries Spears is no longer welcome anywhere near Vlad TV. And the whole thing started when Aries hopped on a podcast and began airing out private conversations between himself and Vlad, making the exact same mistake Boosie made before him. Aries already knew firsthand how Vlad responded when Boosie went public and announced they were no longer working together over money disputes. But somehow, despite watching all of that play out, Aries turned right around and walked straight into that same situation.
Lord Jamar, Tony Yayo, Godfrey, Boosie, and Aries. I'm the only one left. Godfrey stopped because of the beef with Farrakhan, as did Lord Jamar. Tony Yayo just doesn't do it anymore. And Boosie wanted a raise. Come to find out, Boosie wanted $35,000 an episode.
Wow.
He was getting $25,000.
Wow.
So I don't get nowhere near that. And, obviously it's based on the numbers because a lot of Boosie's clips are in the millions. Now, again, I've had a few clips in the millions, but a lot of my stuff, the full interview, probably ranges around $300,000 to $500,000. So I basically said to Vlad, I go, hey, listen, man, I'm not trying to rape you financially. I know I'm not going to ask you for what you gave Boosie. But, come on, man. I mean,
Break bread.
Break bread. And he goes, well, your numbers don't generate what Boosie generate. And so I showed him a bunch of, people that quotes on YouTube and shit like that and on my phone. And one person said, hey man, I only buy Vlad subscriptions when I know he's interviewing you. Once the interview's over, I cancel the subscription. Another guy said, hey man, Aries is a beast. Pay him what you pay him other, and blah, blah. So there's a bunch of these. So he goes, so you want me to pay you more based off what people are saying? And I said, listen man, again, I'm just saying, be fair. People are saying to you, they're buying subscriptions. People are saying to you, they only watch when I'm on. And of all the guys you had that were popular, I'm the last one standing.
Then, Aries and his co-hosts kept the conversation going like they were gearing up to pressure Vlad for more money, acting as though Vlad had no real choice in the matter because Boosie and other big names had already walked away from the platform. But Vlad clearly wasn't receiving that move the way Aries expected, and the moment he caught wind of it, things got ugly fast. Here's the thing, if you're genuinely plotting to use your leverage to squeeze someone for more money, that's the kind of conversation you keep strictly behind closed doors. You don't broadcast that publicly while still trying to maintain a friendly relationship with that same person. But Aries Spears took it there anyway, even sliding in a few indirect shots at Vlad along the way.
Yeah. It's a couple things. And you hit the ones that you needed to hit.
Yeah.
What do you have wanted?
That's beside the point. He asked him to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, a couple grand more.
Yeah.
And that you said, you're the last one there. So he's not going to generate numbers. And if you go, where are those numbers going to come from? Now he's going to have to do episodes with people who are doing much less.
Well, here's the funny part. So, of course, he, was being really like, blah, 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 blah. And I said, he kept driving that point home. You just gonna you want me to give you a raise based off what people are saying? I said, listen, man, you don't have to keep telling me about what my worth is. You either want to do it or you don't. So then he texted me back a couple hours later and said, we should talk. I re-looked at the numbers and we should talk. So come on, man. What are you doing here?
The conversation on that podcast went something like this. Aries and his co-hosts broke down the situation, with one of them pointing out that Vlad would essentially be left with lower-drawing guests now that bigger names had moved on. Aries then shared his version of the money conversation with Vlad actually went, claiming he told Vlad directly that he didn't need to keep explaining his own worth and that Vlad could either make it work or not. According to Vlad came back a few hours later saying he'd looked at the numbers again and wanted to talk. But here's the problem. Aries told his version of the story while conveniently leaving out a major piece of what actually happened. And according to Vlad, that missing piece is exactly where the real disrespect took place. That's what pushed Vlad to draw a hard line and ban Aries from the platform entirely, making it crystal clear he is no longer welcome on Vlad TV. Then Vlad flipped the script and started putting Aries on blast, claiming he had been treating staff rudely behind the scenes the entire time. On top of that, Vlad painted him as a full-blown diva.
2016. And I thought Aries was extremely funny. He was witty. He had great impressions. And I just thought he was a talented dude. So we started doing interviews. And in the beginning, it was a little bit slow. And over time, it started to work out. The views went up, people got to know us, and the audience started to increase. Now, the thing about Aries, though, is that Aries would always have issues with things that are going on. So at one point—
Business-wise or just culturally?
Business-wise.
Okay.
Business-wise. So a few years ago, Aries called me and he was like, yo, man, I can't get any acting gigs because of these clips of me talking about people. Now, it's my fault he can't get acting gigs. It's not because maybe he's not a great actor, or maybe he hasn't done a major movie in 30 years since Jerry Maguire. It's my fault that he's not getting acting gigs. So I said, I'm not removing anything. You know, he wanted all the clips removed. I said, I'm not gonna remove anything.
What year was this?
Oh man, maybe about 4 years ago or so, something like that. And you know, at one point, you know, he stopped talking to me, stopped working. Then at one point he came back and we started doing more work together. My staff would always complain that Aries was disrespectful to them.
Really?
He would show up. At one point, he forgot his towel, right? You see his towel on his leg sometimes because, you know, he sweats a lot because he's kind of overweight. And he forgot his towel and he's like, yo, I need a towel. And Leo, my video manager, is like, well, here's some paper towels. Like, no, I need a cloth towel. So he made Leo go and run to the store, bring him back a cloth towel. At one point, Aries was complaining because he needed a makeup artist. I mean, literally the only person I've ever interviewed that needs a makeup artist every interview.
I mean,
Every interview, but I'm like, that's cool.
Wait, he needs a makeup artist every interview?
Every interview.
Oh.
Every interview. So there's a makeup artist, shout out to my girl Candace, who comes early to do his makeup, and then he does the show. And I'm like, that's fine, I'll cover the cost. It is what it is.
Claiming he would pull up making demands that most people, especially other male—
Vlad claimed Aries would show up making demands that most guests, particularly other male guests, wouldn't even think to bring up. And from the start, there were already a couple of things working against Aries in this situation. The first issue was the attitude behind the scenes. Vlad said Aries was consistently rude to the staff and that people genuinely didn't enjoy working around him. But because he was Vlad's guest, the team had no real choice but to tolerate it and keep things professional. The second issue hit even harder. If you're not pulling the kind of viewership that Boosie Badass, TK Kirkland, or other established names on the platform are generating, but you're still arriving with a growing list of extras, that's where the math stops making sense. Vlad was already covering appearance fees up front, handling travel, and even bringing in a makeup artist specifically for Aries. Stack additional requests on top of all that, and it starts painting a picture of someone becoming high maintenance without the numbers to justify it. If Vlad is barely breaking even after all those costs and still bringing you in out of loyalty, and then you turn around asking for a raise on top of everything, that's when it genuinely starts to look like it's gotten out of hand. But here's where it gets interesting. Vlad wasn't actually opposed to having the raise conversation. He wasn't shutting the door on it. He was willing to sit down and work something out. But according to Vlad, Aries' attitude and behavior throughout the whole situation killed that opportunity before it ever had a real chance. And Vlad took this personally, far beyond just the business side of it. From his perspective, when Aries got caught up in the controversy with Tiffany Haddish over that skit where Aries played a predator, the fallout was severe. The clips spread rapidly, the public reaction was harsh, and Aries effectively found himself canceled. Work dried up, and he was left performing at small, low-key comedy spots in front of barely any crowd. Vlad believes he played a significant role in helping Aries rebuild through interviews, platform exposure, and keeping his name in relevant conversations. And according to Vlad, Aries himself acknowledged that at one point. So in Vlad's mind, that kind of support came with an expectation of basic respect in return, not a public conversation about holding him hostage like he had no leverage or options left. On top of everything else, Vlad revealed he was paying Aries around $4,000 per appearance.
But after watching how all of this unfolded, Vlad started sensing something else underneath it all, that Aries had some jealousy quietly building up.
Like in terms of regular guests, I have seen Aries benefit the most. Because he went in the beginning from doing small comedy clubs to when our stuff started going viral and it started getting, big on TikTok and so forth, things just absolutely took off for him. He got his, and he talked about this on camera, the biggest show he's ever been paid for, Saudi Arabia. Was this the most money you ever made off a single show?
Yes.
Wow. Was it more than twice you've ever made for a single show?
We're going to stop at the first question.
He did his biggest venue ever. He was doing clubs of maybe 100, 200 people. He did a show in Connecticut with 3,000 people. He did a show in LA at the Novo Theater that I went to support. That was 1,400 people. Aries would always, I have text messages from him. Yo, bro, he did his first Europe tour recently. He's like, yo, I'm in Europe and people are running up to me, mobbing me, quoting me from our interviews. So I think a month and a half ago, he asked to raise his appearance fee again. I looked at the numbers and I'm like, cool, let's do it. Let's do it. The numbers are slowly getting better. And I'm like, yo, let's do it. Makes perfect sense. And he would say things like, yo, to all y'all haters out there who, talking shit about me doing this show, I get 5 digits every time I do an interview here. I get 5 digits while y'all sit at home and do nothing.
shoot.
I get 5 digits.
It ain't like I'm on there for free. He pays me.
Correct.
He pays me a nice 5 figures.
Yeah.
So if my choice is either stay home on a Tuesday and do nothing and earn nothing, or go sit down for an hour and a half and walk away with 5 figures where I could not make anything, what am I gonna do?
No, I agree.
I'm gonna make the money and I get to check them.
And I let him run with this story, but that was a lie.
Oh, man.
He was not getting 5 digits.
It's typical hip hop. You got to say you got a color TV when everyone got black and white,
Exactly, exactly. He was making $4,000 an episode,
right? Okay.
right? 4,000.
And when Vlad reached out to discuss the situation involving Boosie Badass, he claims Aries responded with nothing but negative energy, which only made everything spiral further out of control. This is where things start looking particularly messy, because Vlad essentially called out the entire image Aries projects publicly, acting like a bold, outspoken figure on his own platforms, but then moving completely differently when the cameras aren't on him. According to Vlad, behind closed doors, the tone was more like genuine gratitude, thankful for the opportunity, respectful, appreciative, a completely different energy from what people see in public. And that's exactly why Vlad says he has every right to speak up now. Because how can you be upset at Vlad for saying you benefited from his platform when privately you were showing nothing but appreciation for being there? Then it gets even more tangled. Vlad claims Aries was out here allowing people to believe he was pulling in 5-figure payments, somewhere around $10,000 or more per appearance, when that simply wasn't the reality. Meanwhile, you have someone like TK Kirkland potentially generating stronger numbers and not carrying himself anywhere near that way. When you lay it all out like that, the whole picture starts looking seriously inconsistent. And this next part is what really makes the timeline work against Aries. According to Vlad, Aries requested a raise roughly a month and a half before all of this blew up publicly, and he actually got it. At that point, everything was fine. The numbers were what they were, and Aries had no issue accepting that $4,000. But then everything flipped almost overnight. The moment Boosie Badass came out publicly claiming he had been making $25,000 per appearance, Aries suddenly turned around and pushed for another raise, this time using Boosie's number as the benchmark.
Oh, the $25,000 thing comes out. I'm out with my kids, right? We're doing like an escape room, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
Right? I'm out with my twins. We're doing an escape room, and I'm enjoying my time with my kids. So then I get these text messages from Aries. Yo, Boosie's getting $25,000. We need to renegotiate. And look at these comments. Look at these YouTube comments. I only watch Vlad TV when Aries on. Yo, Aries needs a raise. Aries is my favorite guest. He's the only one I watch. And I said, well, first of all, you just got raised up. You get nowhere near the views of Boosie. Nowhere near the views. Like, Boosie's just a way bigger figure. Have a conversation based on YouTube comments. He's like, yo, you're not going to convince me what I'm worth. Look at these people. They say they come only for me, and you need to up my salary.
Oh, it's like a hostile takeover, huh?
And if you don't, then maybe we're done.
Oh, wow. Playing like that.
I said, listen, I'm out with my kids, right? I don't have access to my laptop, to the numbers or whatever else. So I said, all right, I come home. So I get home and I said, yo, now I'm home. Let's have a conversation about the numbers. He said, cool, let's do it. I said, cool, what time works for you? At 5 o'clock, bet. I change around my schedule. I clear my schedule out. And I'm like, okay, me and Aries are gonna have a business conversation.
Just 1 month after getting that raise, that's where the whole thing starts looking really questionable. Because you can't use someone else's number as your benchmark when your own numbers haven't moved. And from Vlad's perspective, that approach was never going to land well. You can't try to corner certain people in business like that and expect it to go smoothly. Vlad's position is essentially that Aries walked himself straight into the situation without even seeing it coming. And this is the moment where Aries truly burned that bridge for good. Because when you actually look at the sequence of events, it's hard to argue with how Vlad responded. At some point, it stops feeling like a business conversation and starts feeling like games. Nobody wants to deal with that. You asked for a raise, you got it, everything was fine. Then, 30 days later, you're back asking for more because of something you saw posted online. That's when the diva label starts sticking. Vlad would have been completely justified shutting it down right there. He'd just given a raise. Only one interview had happened since, and the logical response would have been to revisit the conversation in a few months. But instead, Vlad stayed open to talking it through. According to Vlad, he reached out to have that conversation, but Aries went silent. By 5 o'clock, no response. The next morning, Vlad followed up again around 10:30, 11 o'clock, asking if Aries still wanted to have the discussion. The response he got back was basically a dismissive, yeah, at some point. And that was it. Vlad said the moment he read that, he was completely done. From Vlad's perspective, reaching a certain level in business means you earn the right to choose who you spend your time and energy on. People who can have straightforward, respectful conversations. Not people driven by jealousy and comparing their situation to everyone around them. And Vlad made it clear, there are two kinds of people who move like that. Those who have nothing, and those who, like Aries, are genuinely doing better than they ever have in their career, making more money than ever before, and are still consumed by what someone else is earning on the same platform. That kind of comparison clouded his judgment so badly that he didn't even want to sit down and have a real conversation. And at that point, Vlad said he was done. Aries was no longer welcome on the platform. No more appearances, no more makeup artist, nothing. And that's what makes this whole situation so difficult to defend from Aries' side. Because from Vlad's view, Aries didn't just push too hard. He crossed a line that made continuing the relationship impossible. Once it reached that point, there was nothing left to salvage. Honestly, it's hard to look at this situation and call it anything other than fumbling a major opportunity. Think about what was actually on the table. $4,000 per interview, roughly one interview a month. Straightforward, easy money. But beyond the payment, there was something far more valuable attached to it. Access to a platform that consistently pushes content in front of millions of people, completely free of charge. That's not a small thing. That's an enormous advantage that most people in this industry would take without hesitation. Look at how the content game actually works right now. Comedians, streamers, and creators are spending serious money, sometimes 6 figures a year, just to get their clips distributed and seen. Vlad TV was essentially doing that same promotional work for Aries and paying him on top of it. Think about how many pages repost Vlad TV clips on a daily basis. Now ask yourself, how many of those same pages are independently posting Aries Spears stand-up clips on their own? Almost none. That exposure wasn't coming from Aries himself. It was tied directly to Vlad's platform and distribution network. So Aries wasn't just collecting a check. He had a built-in promotional machine working behind him, the kind of setup that a comedian who needs to sell tickets and fill venues genuinely cannot afford to lose. The play was simple. Jump on Vlad TV, Announce your upcoming shows. Let the video hit 1 million views. Let people fall in love with your personality and watch them show up to your performances. That's how it translates. And now all of that is gone, just like that. Because instead of playing the position he was in, he started watching another man's numbers and letting that comparison drive his decisions. In one move, he lost both his most consistent income stream and his most powerful promotional tool at the same time. That's a significant loss, and there's really no way around it. But I want to know what you think. Did Aries Spears fumble this completely, or was he right to push for more? And on the other side, was Vlad fully justified in how he chose to handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's get into it.